Huh. Oh, that's odd. Normally, when I go to share something and I create the Hangout on Air, it creates the link for it and sends the invite to you. But let me see if I can work around this in another way. Well, let me just send you the link straight away and see if that works. I'll send it to both your email account and your account. Okay, great. You should see a shared screen there with the TaskStream login.
Okay, I see it.
Okay, great. And I have my webcam turned off, so feel free to turn yours off too. No big deal.
Okay, it doesn't matter to me, but.
Oh, I lost sound with you.
Okay.
I'm kicking in. Okay, let me open up the chat.
Unmute. Can you hear me now? I unmute it. Hello? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Wait a minute. Where's the chat? Oh. Hello?
Hey, somehow the phone dropped.
Oh, okay. Because I can hear you. You couldn't hear me?
Oh no, I had it. I'm in a public place, so I had to work off of my phone and headphones. So I just mute my computer. Yeah, unfortunately, I got hung up and I couldn't leave a meeting on time, so I had to kind of touch down at some place where there's background noise and other people. So.
Oh, okay, no problem.
So I don't want other people to have to listen to our conversation.
Yeah, no worries. They don't need to know about TaskStream.
Yeah. So you can see the TaskStream login over there.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay, great. So then what I want to do here is I'm going to log in as oh goodness, what is her name?
So should I bring up the TaskStream too for me?
Well, I guess I could go in as a Kutztown account and show it from that perspective. So I'm not going to go into anything in too much depth in terms of how to score things, or we could touch on it a little bit, but really focus more on the back end pieces, correct?
Yes.
Okay, good. And I think one thing you might be able to do is mute your speakers. so then there's not double sound in my phone.
Okay. Does that help? Can you hear me?
Not mute your phone, but mute your computer.
Oh, okay. All right. Hold on. Mute my computer.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, here we go. So I'm not going to go into too much any depth in terms of scoring, rather just kind of look at it in a general sense if you have questions, but really focus more on kind of the back end things, what you can do with it, and answer some specific questions there. But first and foremost, what program do you work with the most? Okay, so let's go one by one through them. If a student needs a password change, they're going to the forgot login here. That's pretty straight away. I mean, you could go in through the. Do you have the usernames and passwords for those accounts? Oh, okay, because if there's anything be. Okay, okay, so then let's see. There's an account. Who's the other faculty member that you work with? Deb Lynch. Yeah, I don't have her account anymore. All of the design and all of the constructed templates and everything live under her account. So without me being able to log in as her, I can't really show you any back-end stuff on those. That Yeah, that was one that was prior to me arriving, working with Kristan, was that she had built everything in her accounts, and the train was kind of already out of the station in terms of collecting data. So there was very very little. Yes, yes. And what needs to happen there is, I think I may be able to do that from here. And you said that. Well, let's go in and look at each one of them. You've got the MPH. Um, I got MPH right there. So what I did was I went TS coordinator, DRF programs, and then search by program name. You can search by just parts of it. MPH. Now you'll notice something here in this list. When this result comes back, you'll see that there's programs that are created, and yep. What I didn't hear that. What was it? Yeah, that is. Huh. I'm no. That's okay. Hmm. Yeah, neither do I. I've never had to. I don't think I've ever had to install that add-on. No, it's all right. While you're doing that, we can talk a little bit. The kind of the biggest distinction here in terms of the programs that you work with are that the the actual template and the program, the template being the structure of the e-portfolio, the rubrics, the kind of the basic settings of it, and the program being the who's enrolled in it and kind of the management of the people within the template. Those are all of those are under Dr. Lynch's account. At one time or another, I thought I had the password for it, but I believe that in the process somewhere she changed it. So I don't have access to those things anymore to make changes. So anything that you need to know, I'm probably going to have to demonstrate to you using another account. Um, it's not too bad, once you get the hang of it. And then for changing passwords, that's an overall kind of an overall system role. And we'll see right up here in the corner, I'm logged in as the Kutztown University manager, and that is one of the roles that allows for account management. But the password resets occur. The most logical way to get a student to reset a password is to have them click on the forgot login button. But you could have them log in also, or excuse me, you could log in also as, and I don't know if this is Daryl's intention, Dean Garber's intention or not, but knowing this, there's another account that is used to manage usernames and passwords, and it's called the system administrator account, and I would just need clearance from one of them to say that you're allowed to do that. If you're resetting passwords, this is the tool to do it. You can see here subscribers information. Once you log into the system administrator's page, you can go to subscribers information, and then usually within TaskStream there's an orange button of some kind that kind of starts a process. And from okay, yeah, and so like if I wanted to reset Dean Garber's password, I'd go ahead and type in Garber and search for him, and if they expect you to reset faculty passwords, yes, you're going to have it. If they expect you to reset student passwords, the answer is no. You don't have to have it. Oh, that's not that. Okay, that's not a password. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, now we got that. There we go. Okay, so that helps me a lot. That's called a self-enroll code, and you can find any self-enroll codes under PS Coordinator, DRF programs, and then you search for the program that you want. So, you were working with NPH. Search for NPH. Here's DRF programs I created, and click on NPH. And then there's a variety of these tabs that control the program, kind of the enrollment rules. And so then we go to enrollment, and you can see here it's kind of buried in here, but it's the first option, and it says allow authors to self-enroll. And that's turned on, and the code for MPH is MPH. All right. So now where that works in a practical sense is this. Let's say I go back to the home page here, and I go and I look at the author page. Now, under the author page, I should be able to enroll in a program. So if they scroll to the bottom and they don't see your program, if you have a self-enroll code, enter it here. So you go enter code, and I would type in MPH and search the MPH program, and I'd enroll in that one. And the SPU. Okay. Okay. So I don't know if you have that, and I'm not entirely sure if that's possible to do after the fact once you start enrolling people in it, but I'm willing to take a look. I've never had to change a self-enroll code after it was originally made, but we can go here, and there is a change button. So I'm going into some uncharted territory, but that's okay. So we'll go to MPH, and we'll go to SPU, and we'll go ahead and apply those changes. And changing the self-enrollment code will deactivate the old code. Are you sure you want to continue? Okay, so we go, okay. Now here's the thing: is that old code might be spread from here to Massachusetts. Who knows? So you just got to keep an eye out that when people say, if a frustrated student says, I can't enroll in the MPH program, then their first question is which code are you trying to use? Okay, so that one, check that one off the list. What's next? Like the VI-DRF. Okay. All right, well, the first thing we got to do is we got to find out if you have the privilege to do that. Now, but actually, no, you can't do that, and I can't do that, because the only person who can do that is the person who created the DRF, and that is Dr. Lynch. It's under her account. You can manage the program. You can manage the enrollment. You can manage, all kinds of other things, but you can't actually physically make changes to the template without being logged into her account. And I've mentioned that to both John McCarthy and to Dr. Lynch. I probably not multiple times, but definitely once or twice. And they knew, they both should know that, but it may not have, let's say, sunk in terms of application and consequence. Yeah. Yeah, so you definitely need her. You definitely need her password, her username and password to make those changes. So, but I can at least show you some things in terms of another template. If you have, and I don't know your technological skills, but it's pretty intuitive in terms of rearranging and adding and building things. So I'm going to go into one template and just kind of show you a few things. Let me find one. I'm not going to make any changes to this, but I will go in and show you. This is the TS coordinator view of the stage requirements template for teacher candidates, and essentially it looks exactly like the layout that a student would see, except it has edit privileges and rearranging privileges. So if I click on a given requirement within the template, you can see that what happens is there's a variety of things light up. I can add something new. I can copy something that already exists. I can rename it to something else. I can move it, or I can delete it. All right. So those are some of the basic changes that you can make in terms of the editing of the template. Now, with any given placeholder or requirement within the template, you can also edit over here. You can edit the contents of it by clicking on Add and Edit Overview. So it's kind of like you're making a bucket and then you're putting content in the bucket, so to speak.
Okay, but does that mean, however, if there are things like, let's say, we want to change where it says movie review to disability portrayal, stuff like that.
That's just a rename. That's all that is that you're just changing the name on it. You would highlight it, like I'm doing on the share.
Yeah.
You'd highlight it and you'd go up to rename.
Oh, okay.
And it would allow you to rename it. If you're changing content within the page itself, then you're going to want to go over and put an add edit directions, and that'll allow you to change the body.
I can add a new one, and I can also add a totally new thing, like.
Yes, you can, and I was going to talk about that. Adding something new can be a little bit tricky at times. So I was going to focus on a few specific things here. So let me go down to the end of this guy so I can have something that I can easily delete. So if I was to add something new, basically there's kind of this structure. There's categories and there's requirements. And I'll hide this for a second here quick. Categories are these buckets, the groups, the folders, whatever synonymous term that you want to use with them. And there's two types of categories. Categories that are available to the author, which are the portfolio creators, or admin categories, which are invisible to the student but visible to the evaluators. So if there was, like you were trying to, you could put things in there that you're tracking them without letting them know they're being tracked.
Okay.
All right, and then within the categories, you can have three types of. Let me scroll back up here again. You can have four types of requirements, and those requirements are submission. And a submission is exactly what it is. The student gives you something that you can store. That may be a paper, and we can actually take a look at an item over here. You can have them submit text and image, video, attachments, web links, banners, slideshows, embedded media, and you can also have them complete forms if they needed to, like a self-assessment. And all you have to do is, what I did with these was basically got the response from the team and said, what do you want them to be able to submit? And they said, well, they could take a picture of it or they could send it as a PDF. Okay, so that means I got to turn on text and image and I got to turn on attachments, and that's pretty much it.
Okay.
There's some other ones, like, for example, I think it's like an application. Let's see.
So text and image and attachments is going to be for most, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's 99% of them.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the form is really pre-created forms where you identify what information that you want to collect from them. And you build an online form very similar to like SurveyMonkey or anything like that, but it lives right in TechStream.
Okay.
And I think actually, apply for teacher candidacy has one, so you can we can see the form here.
Okay.
This is. There we go.
No.
So that's kind of what the form looks like. You can do radio buttons, you can do fill in the blanks, you can do drop downs, you can do pretty much anything, and sometimes people do that, for particular requirements within the portfolio. Um, the the non-submission requirement in most is essentially when you are observing something but not collecting it from them. So, it's exactly that. It might be something, they have to do something in a particular class, or it's just a yes/no requirement that they don't have to submit anything to verify it or as evidence. And you'll see that in the stage requirements here, there are a number of no submission, because that information comes into the office, C or better in English literature. Basically, they get the teacher certification office gets a list of people that, that passed it, and they just mark them as met or not met.
Right.
Okay, and then
that makes sense. Or some of the other ones, like, what was it? Well, okay, here's something that could have a submission or might not. So let's say the one, the criminal record. Somebody might have a misdemeanor, but they can still teach. So would they have to they might have to upload something, whereas other people would just say no record, or what they're uploading is actually the BCI. So they would.
They only submit back what they get as a result of the process.
They just upload that. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's all the clearances, the child abuse clearance. Yeah, they send something to you in the mail.
Yeah. The idea in that regard is we want to eliminate as much gray area as possible. So, not to be cliche, don't ask, don't tell. If they get the form back and it says they're clear, they scan that, they submit that, and there's no other detailed story that goes into it.
Right.
They're just trying to keep it as objective as possible. However, on the no submission end, Brenda is going through and checking a variety of other reports on behalf of the student to update their status in regards to these items. And you can always tell a non-submission item because it has the little green stop sign on it.
Oh, okay.
And that sounds kind of odd that it's got a green stop sign on it, but that's what it is. And
so like C or better in English. I mean, that's something that, like, as an advisor or Cheryl can do it. Do we just go online and we look at their grades?
I don't know. Brenda's the one who really manages the process.
Okay.
So I would ask her specifically.
Brenda.
Okay. I'm just putting into the different types of requirements.
Yeah.
So a couple of things here in terms of the template. Once you kind of build all of your, or move or rename, whatever it is, but anytime you add a new requirement, what the second step in the process is to actually go over here to what's called the evaluation tab. And the evaluation tab is where you identify the evaluation method. So there's all kinds of evaluation methods. I don't think there's any on here that are left blank right now. So I'm not. Well, I'll look at one here quickly just to kind of show you. Some of these are set in as meets requirements. But if I went up and I did this, and I went to reassign, and then I went to edit evaluation method. No, I better not do that. Okay, I'm going to change evaluation method. There we go. So when you're setting an evaluation method for the first time, you can do a variety of basic and advanced ones. Pass, fail, meets, does not meet.
Right.
Write-in score, pretty straightforward. Basically, they did it or they didn't. It's ones and zeros kind of relationships.
Right.
And you write it in. So the test score ones are all write-in scores. And,
yeah. Okay. Like with the PAPA, they have to have their PAPA scores. That kind of thing.
Yeah. And then and I'll show you here an example in a minute of another template. You can also use rubrics, custom evaluation forms, and combined form and rubric. So it's it's kind of like A, B, A plus B.
Okay.
And they're very handy. I'm going to hop over here in a minute to rubrics and show you a couple of separate rubrics and separate forms that can be used for evaluation. Because frankly, there's not many of them in the stage 12 requirements. So most of the stuff it's either there or it isn't.
Okay.
So if I head over to lessons, units, and rubrics, and you'll see the rubric wizard here.
Oh. Okay.
And then underneath we've created a number of rubrics, and this is where all of the rubrics that are in the MPH or the SPU template are in Dr. Lynch's account. We can see them here, but we can't edit them. We can't fix them, so to speak. So that's it's another thing that's got to be done directly in our account. But the rubrics are pretty straightforward in this. Is that they have a column and row relationship, very similar to what we might be used to in terms of rubrics. You get the ability to when you add a column, it's automatically identified with a level. 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. But you get the ability to rename it, and you can add columns and subtract columns as long as you have not collected any data on that rubric. Once you start collecting data, once you start collecting data on it, it's pretty much 95% of the functionality of rubric are locked in. Once you start collecting data on it.
So you have to make sure it's the way you want it before students start, you start using it with the students.
Yep. There are two things that can get changed after a rubric starts collecting data, and that is the content in the cell. And you could make some minor edits after data collection starts, and you can edit the standards that are attached to that rubric. So here, we've tagged the Pennsylvania, the standard 354, and we tagged the NCATE standards. And some of these roles may also have institutional goals tagged to them as well, but I can't remember. So you can edit the text, and you can edit the standards retroactively, but you cannot add a column, you cannot subtract a column, you cannot add a row, you cannot subtract a row after data collection has started.
Okay. Because otherwise you'd be eliminating that data too.
Yeah, and it is a very laborious process to undo stuff. So I would highly that it's more important to if you're kind of in what I would call, or what some people would call, an agile development cycle. If you're making changes as you go, I would say focus on making sure that you've got the columns and the number of rows, that you've got those locked in and agreed upon before you do anything. And then if there is some, if you're running out of time and there's some negotiation and wordsmithing that needs to occur, and you're looking up against the deadline, and the students are supposed to submit something, I'd say get the rubric out there with the wording and make it ready, and then you can argue about some of the wording later.
Right.
That can get fixed.
Okay, because inside the cells you can play around, just not the structure. That makes sense.
That's right. Add, remove columns, add, remove rows, not possible.
Right.
Okay, so that's the basic gist of a rubric, and then like I said, once you build the rubric, then you have to go into a template, and you have to associate that rubric with a particular placeholder. So let me see. Actually, let me go into a different account. Let me go into the 4 to 8 account. Pre-K to 4 is good. go to pre-K to 4, and we will go into TS coordinator, DR template builder, and we'll go down to pre-K to 4. We'll click here, proceed with editing. There we go. Okay, so here's assessment 2 of the child portfolio assignment. And as you can see, some of these should probably get turned off, but they didn't. So that may need to get fixed at some point. But maybe, for all I know, maybe someone said leave them all on, and I just don't know. So they built the requirement. They kind of differently. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. The core assignment, assessment 3, it also has an attachment for the instructions. So when a student comes in and they say, how do I do assignment 3, there's the instructions for it.
Okay.
There's not a lot in terms of, descriptions in here, but if you wanted, because some of these, like I said, some of these were built very quickly in order to start collecting data as fast as possible, and there wasn't a lot of aesthetics put into them.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way. They're down.
It can be played with, though, right? Could you add?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can add and update that stuff all you want to after the fact.
Okay.
But again, the point of no return is always: are there data being collected? And once data are starting to be collected, you can move things, you can rename things after data is being collected, but you can't change evaluation methods. You can't delete anything without an authorization code. You can't swap evaluation methods and say, oh, we want to use a different rubric. That kind of thing. That's why you see here. That's why you see under A3, under assessment 3, you can see that there's old A3, and then A3.
Yeah, the old and A3.
Okay,
yeah, that makes sense.
What happened here is that they started collecting data on that. They still needed the old data, but they had to revise the rubric. So instead of deleting the old placeholder, we just created a new one, put the new rubric on it, and then hid these old ones from the student view. So
okay. You could make them not available then to students.
Yeah, that's all managed under the program. And I'll show you that in a second. So under evaluation. Under evaluation method, you can see here that. Here, let's go look at that. Let's look at this guy. Take a look. Here's the original A3, the lesson plan. The rubric was created in version 1, May of 12. Well, then they got some significant feedback back in May of 12, and we had to revise that rubric right away. And we revised it right away, and they got started using it, and I think they must have used it for like the fall semester of 2012, because then what you look is they got another set of feedback, and we had to get a new placeholder, give it a new name, give it a new version number, and then it was revised in February of 13. So, as you can see, I have and I would hope that if you make changes and add rubrics, that for the sake of organization, that you follow the same naming convention for rubrics that are there, because then you can always, if you look at a placeholder, or you look at something that's been revised like this, where there's 3 versions of it, you can always get a jump start on the story behind the revision simply by the naming convention.
Okay. All right. Well, now, in some cases, like, so this is just for the evaluation, though. The other stuff could be, like, when we want to have students submit something, that we could just change the name, but not for the evaluations.
That's right. You can change the name of something. You can change the name of the placeholder. You can change the name of the rubric. You can change the contents in the cells of the rubric. But once data are starting to be collected, you cannot change. You can't swap out the rubric for another one without creating a new placeholder. You can't add rows to a rubric. You can't remove rows from a rubric. You can't add columns or delete columns from a rubric once data are started to be collected. What you have to do at that point is you have to copy the rubric, make the changes to the rubric, make a new placeholder, attach the new rubric to the new placeholder,
Okay.
which is exactly what I did in these cases. This rubric, A3 lesson plan, is, is probably only about 10 to 15% different than this rubric right here. All I did was copy this one, make a copy of it, give it a new name, and then make the changes. And then once I made the changes, I made a new placeholder and added it to the new placeholder.
Okay, that makes sense.
Let's see, and then, oh, I know what you mean. I wanted to show you visibility. Okay, so this is the biggest differences between the DRF template and the DRF program.
Okay, DRF template versus program.
Yep, the template is the structure. It's the requirements. It is the categories and the requirements. You know, the buckets and the placeholders, whatever you want.
Okay.
And it is the rubrics that are associated with them, and the evaluation methods. That's basically it.
Okay.
It's very structural in nature. It's very organizational. The management of the portfolio use is done through DRF program. So you don't enroll students in a template. You create the template, you create the program, and you associate the template with the program.
Okay, so create template. So 1, you create template.
Yep.
Template. 2, create program. And now, how do you do that? How's that different? And then link them.
Yeah. See how everything when you come in here, how you start on the leftmost tab, and and here's the program, pre-K to 4, and if you needed a new one, you could create a new one, but we don't necessarily want to. So we'll go pre-K to 4, and the first step is to do the setup. So it asks you some questions, it allows you to set up some things down here in terms of how, anonymity and what roles are involved in this template. Then the next tab is to actually select the template itself, and this is the part. This has got multiple phases to it, but this answers your question earlier about hiding things. When you associate the program with a template, what it does is it pulls in all of the requirements of the template. It's a mirror image of the template right over here. And then what it does is it asks you a variety of questions like, how many evaluators per submission? If there's more than one, there's a reconcile process that has to be involved. So don't worry about that. Due dates. We've never used any due dates because this is a dynamic portfolio that spans multiple years. If we set a due date of something for September the 15th, and someone doesn't take that class for the spring, the due date is
see, we use D2L for that, like with the due dates and stuff.
The due date is really for more quote-based portfolios. Okay, so the two that you are concerned about here are author and evaluator visibility. You'll notice that there's all on subset. Anytime you see subset, that means that the visibility has been altered so that anyone who is new, you'll notice here. Take a look at. You can get that right there. Okay, here's the new requirement. Everyone can see the new requirement. There's no restrictions. The old requirement is a subset. Subset of students, subset of faculty. And the reason for that is because you can't hide a requirement from someone who's already submitted it.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason that it's a subset is because the people that already submitted it, you can't hide it. So it's like, it's n minus 1.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Then if no one has submitted the requirement, there's one down here. Perfect. If no one has submitted the requirement, then it will say none. If you hide it, it will say none. So
Okay.
it's kind of an easy indicator. If it says all, that means everyone has access to it. If it says subset, that means that some people can see it, some people can't, and that's either because you chose to, or because they'd already submitted it and you can't hide it from them. And then none is that no one has done anything with it, therefore you can hide it 100%.
Okay, I see. So that can be completely hidden because no one's done anything.
Yeah. So, kind of word of advice: if you have to copy a placeholder and attach a new rubric to it, you want to go in and you want to hide that placeholder for everyone else.
Okay.
For the old one. For
Yep.
for the old one. All right. I'm looking at the time here. I got to go rolling by 5. A couple of other things here. Enrollment under the DRF program. You can always tell who's enrolled as either an author or as an evaluator or
Okay.
as a manager. Here's the basic distinction: authors, they're students. They can only submit. They can only submit them. Evaluators, faculty members, people who are using a rubric or staff members that are using a rubric or a METNet to evaluate the work that's submitted. Managers have the ability to do a range of things, including, but not limited to, override other people's evaluations, cancel evaluations, do enrollments, and what's called and generate data reports. So at some point or another, you're probably going to live your life in two modes. You will. I think I can do this. The NPH. You go into DRF programs. I gotta go into a Kutztown account for that. Forgot that I was accounts. So we go back into the Kutztown account, and I'm going to go to TS Coordinator, DRF Programs, and I'm going to search for NPH. I'm going to go into NPH, and I'm going to go into enrollment, and I'm going to add a manager. And I'm going to add, you are added as a manager.
Okay. All right.
That's great. So,
okay, that's a good thing. So she must have already done that for me.
Here's something interesting. You don't have the ability to adjust program setup, and you don't have the ability to generate reports. So what I would say is, for the long term, in the short term, you're probably going to be saying to Dr. Lynch, I need to access your account in order to make the changes to the template. And that'll probably be that way for a while, because it's not easy to move templates from account to account. That's got to be something that's highly coordinated with Tasker, and it may have to live that way for this year at least, and then maybe next summer talk about forklifting it over to the Kutztown account or something like that.
Okay.
But in the meantime, one question you could ask it is that if you've got, you could become, well, I mean, there's other people. I'll give them to you, and I mean, you can't really do a lot of damage with these things other than enroll and unenroll people.
Right.
But if I give you program setup and generate reports, this is what you'll see.
Okay.
You will. Hang on a second. Let me update that. Oh, I already did. Hang on, let me find it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Hang on. There we go. Okay, you're good. Yep, that's up to date. All right, so the next time you log out and log back in, you should see here, you should be able to see the TS coordinator button. I'm not sure if you're going to have the ability to build templates, but I do know that you will have DRF programs and you will have DRF program reports. So what you'll be able to do is go into DRF programs and you will see MPH there, and you'll be able to look at the program settings for MPH. You cannot manage the template, unfortunately, because that's in DRF. But you can, kind of look at the program, see how it's set up, look at enrollment-related things. Faculty member says, I don't think I'm enrolled in that program. You could enroll them as an evaluator, that kind of thing. But more importantly is that you now have access to the DRF reports, which allows you to do things like go in and check the submissions. And I won't go into a ton of detail on this right now, just simply out of time. And we could get another thing started at another time. But,
okay. Well, and so this is enough for me to get started.
Yeah.
And then if I'm still if I'm sure as I play with the program, I'm gonna have questions.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna track my questions, and that way, I can email you if they're quick questions, and if they're longer questions.
Yeah, and I think just try to be as explicit as possible.
Okay.
Or even sending a screenshot.
Okay, that works.
I'm trying to do this. And either I'll do one of two things. I'll answer it straight away, or I will I'll put you to
okay.
Or if there are some things, actually I'll do this, I'll really do this when I get home later tonight. I will dig through my files and I'll find you all of the PowerPoints or any kind of instructional documentation that I've written, and I'll send them.
All right, I appreciate that. And at any rate, at this point, I feel like I'm at the stage where what I need to do to learn more is to actually get hands-on and play with it. And that's where, like I said, I'll just keep track of the questions. I'll take screenshots if I need to. And it's a little bit of information overload.
Yeah.
And I have to try it out.
It took me 4 or 5 years to develop some of the little intricacies that some of the things I've told you. So.
Right.
Be careful. I just wanted to add one thing here in terms of the reports. If you get in and play around with the DRF program reports, keep an eye on this. You select the template that you're working with, or you select the program that you want to work with. I'm just going to go ahead and choose the template because the template and the program, for the most part, are synonymous when it comes to reporting. There's not. In other words, there are not any templates that are shared over multiple programs. It's pretty much a one template to one program relationship. And then down here in the options, the one I want you to play around with and investigate is the advanced search, because you can filter by demographics, and then here you can filter by date. So I'm not going to filter by date, but you can go in and you can select a variety of things. I try not to select the major or the certification area, just simply because there are only going to be MPH people in MPH,
Right.
So don't apply an extra set of criteria where you wouldn't need to. But
well, there actually wouldn't only be MPH people, because there would be so everybody that is in the elementary program has to take, everybody who's an education major period has to take 201, for example.
Okay.
So that's going to have people from all majors across the school of ed, and even sometimes we'll get a psych major or something in there.
I would still be cautious about over-selecting it, because I'll show you something here that is an interesting thing that you can do. and then it's, let's say you run this report and you've mentally, physically handicapped, and the data, the data comes back. Here's this first report that you see is a completion report. It goes to show you how many of different, how many different assignments or requirements have already been submitted. So you kind of look at it and you say, oh wow, there's some good submissions here with different things. But let's go back and look at that first one and say, okay, of that one that this one is like 474. We go over to the left and look at the accumulation. What it does is it brings up all 474 of those submissions in like a gradebook style.
Oh, okay.
All right, and here's the nice part about this. This is why I say don't get too overly, kind of overly fanatical about checking off a bunch of boxes in the advanced search, because what you can do is you can go display demographics and support. And let's say you want to display the certification they're seeking and the degree program that they enrolled in and when they entered the university. So you go ahead and check on those and you apply the page. What happens is the data refreshes, and you'll notice over on the right-hand side it just says evaluated. Well, now it adds those demographics to the report. Okay, and you can start to see where people might be in different programs, pre-code 4 and things like that. So this way you're not necessarily filtering anyone out of the report. You're taking the whole report, and you could export it to Excel and use the filtering process or the sorting process within Excel to manage those individuals.
Okay. Okay.
So there's a decent amount of stuff that you can do in the reporting, but that's a whole different program.
All right.
All right.
All right. Well, that helps a lot.
Good.
Yeah. So I think I'm good on this for now. Like I said, it is a lot. I'm still processing, but yeah, it seems otherwise.